The Jim Nagy effect goes beyond just player acquisition.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Sooner Nation? Welcome to Locked On Sooners, and thank you for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is officially in playoff mood every game day during the NFL playoffs. FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. He's Jay Smith of Unfair Sports. I'm John Williams of Sooners Wire. And on today's show, we're going to go through the final polls released by the AP and the USA Today. USA Today's sports coaches poll. We're going to leave it. We're rolling. It's fine. We're going to talk about improvement up front. What's it going to take for the Oklahoma Sooners offensive line to improve upon what they did in 2025? But let's start with this, Jay. If you hadn't gone and checked out the interview with Owen Heinecke on the Oklahoma Breakdown with Teddy Lehman and Gabe Eichert, highly recommend it. One nugget I thought was fascinating in there, Jay, was Owen talking about Nate Dreiling and Wes Goodwin. And he mentioned that they were able to watch a lot of film and more film than what maybe the linebackers had gotten to watch with their coaches in the past. And I really think this is in part due to Jim Nagy and his staff and what they're doing on the evaluative side for the high school recruits that they're pursuing.
Oh, yeah, it's 100% the effect of having a front office whose job is solely to go look at players, watch tape, focus on the acquisition side. That's the best part about having that. And luckily, we have one of the better ones in the business. People may not believe that yet, but you'll see as time goes. This is not a job that you make a complete change in year one. I mean, unless you bring in a new staff and they bring in every single player that they're bringing with them from an old school, a la Penn State to Virginia Tech or Iowa State, all the way up there to, Penn State, that entire little triangle there. What you're seeing here is this front office is going in and filling all those holes that we talked about on the roster. But it's cool to hear Owen talk about that, how the coaching staff's able to spend more time focusing on the film sessions and really breaking down what the opposition is doing. It's one of those advantages you get. I mean, that was one thing that Kurt Cignetti kind of talked about, even with his staff. They don't spend hours upon hours of practicing and constantly hitting and everything. They preach and teach toughness, but their focal point is be healthy, watch film, understand what's coming, react the way that you're supposed to. It is a little bit easier when you got more grown-ups, in which Oklahoma, we're going to have a bunch of good seniors and juniors that will be up there in age as well, ready to do the same. But that's something that you would hope for whenever you add this front office. And that's pretty good stuff to hear that is starting to pay some dividends.
Well, it also helps when you're playing Indiana's schedule in 2025 versus Oklahoma's, and you're able to pull a lot of your starters pretty early in those games. So I'm going to be real. When you're playing, Illinois and Michigan State and UCLA and Maryland and Wisconsin, I mean, Purdue, it's okay. Yes. But
I mean, technically they could talk bad about us too, because the SEC was 2-8 in bowl games this year to everybody else.
They were able to stay healthy in large part to, yes, their practice philosophy. Also, they're not having to overextend themselves in games for the most part during the season. Yeah. Anyway, but the Jim Nagy effect being that these coaches get to just coach. Yes, they will spend time evaluating talent, spend time recruiting. That's still part of the job, but they don't have to spend as much time. And so they get to devote more time to the players that are on campus now. And I do think we saw that pay dividends. We saw development. We saw this linebacker core, Owen Heinecke in particular, really take off, but we saw the defense as a whole get better and better and better. We saw them be able to insert two true freshmen along the offensive line and a redshirt freshman along the offensive line and still get productive play. You saw them be able to figure things out with Xavier Robinson, who was banged up for a lot of the year, Torrey Blaylock, who was banged up for a lot of the year, because your coaches are coaching. They're not, again, having to be constantly grinding film. They can coach. And I think that's a beautiful thing of what Jim Nagy and his staff and Brent Venables and his staff and the whole Oklahoma administration staff have helped set up is the coaches get to do what they love. And yes, they love film. They love to recruit. But again, they get to spend more times with the players that are already on campus that they are invested in.
Yeah, it's a different type of tape grinding, right? So they're grinding tape, just not recruits. They're grinding, like you said, with the current players. And we're looking at, all right, this is the thing you need to do here to get better. Let's look at what the opposition do. They run these type of plays. These are the things to watch out for. Yep. And to me, I think that that's actually helped make Owen Heinecke someone that was able to excel. Because remember, he was a walk-on. And, you know, nobody really thought that he would fully be able to contribute. But those extra sessions is probably why he was able to step in and, you know, really start taking off the way he did. I don't think anybody expected him to be as good as he is. And now, I mean, his draft grades sound like he could be a late day 2 guy. It sounds like teams could look at him, or early day 3. So he's gonna end up getting drafted when he goes to the league. I mean, everyone's still hoping that he gets that extra year. Told y'all, man, I don't trust the NCAA. Why would I think they're gonna do the right thing? Why would I even put myself in that situation? Why would I give myself false hope? I'm not even cautiously optimistic. I'm not giving myself false hope in this situation, John. But with that, he did show so much progression. I feel like that probably is attributed to the fact that Coach Dreiling, as well as Goodwin, had the opportunity to just sit down with these players and focus on the tape. And of course, Goodwin, knowing Brent Venables' mind and playbook and the way he likes to do things, kind of helps a lot too. That's where that continuity and knowing each other thing really helps.
And this was the other part of that conversation I thought was really fascinating. And this is the part where, if you've got a dad or you're a dad, you'll kind of get this. He was talking about a conversation he had with his dad. I think it was like before the spring last year. And his dad saying, hey, this is your last shot. You need to not care if you step on toes or who you piss off or what. You've got to go and take advantage of this last opportunity to go prove that you can run with everybody. Like, so don't play afraid. Don't play hesitant. Don't be, worried about the politics of it all. Go play. And Owen Heinecke talked about how it really set him free to go just play football and play unafraid. And I think that's just a cool little side nugget in all of this. And he also talked about how much his dad is helping with trying to help him get that extra year of eligibility, but just another cool little side note. And I think a lesson to be learned for a lot of athletes out there. You can play hesitant if you're afraid of making mistakes, or if you're afraid of, not doing the right thing or upsetting the apple cart or whatever, but it doesn't allow you to play free. And when you play free, you play at your best. And I think that's just a really positive story for a lot of athletes that could glean something from that.
Yeah, sometimes it's okay to play it fast and play it loose. And in the end, you may not get burned. Why not take advantage of the fact that you can possibly do that? And that's the way Owen did. That interview was really good too. Like as you mentioned, definitely something to go listen to and hear it directly from Owen's mouth. But man, just hearing the way that he was able to move up the ranks and the way that he would go into plays and they would be like, dude, what are you doing? Get back. They call for somebody. He just randomly runs out there. And after a while, it's like, you know what? All right, get a do shot. Let's see what he does. And then he showed out and he's like, oh, well, okay. I mean, it's even for a lot of you. If there's things that you want to try or whatnot, I understand that it's a lot of fear and failure, but I mean, look at me. I'm here. I wouldn't be here if I didn't think I was without failing a few times. So here we go. There's something that you all can definitely take advantage of. And just hearing his story was pretty inspiring, but he really heaped a lot of praise on the coaching staff and just their ability to click with the players and stuff. It's a good story and a good understanding of the direction that they're going with this team. And that's honestly why, if I'm being honest, you didn't see the mass exodus of players that you kind of thought you possibly could, mainly because the only players that really left were the ones that saw that, okay, there's no chance I'm going to be able to start. And they know their starting caliber. And they want to go ahead and find that opportunity to start. That was it. That defense is basically intact with just about every single starter besides the ones going to the league.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an exciting culture that Brent Venables has built, and now he's had some success to go with it. You can talk all the culture stuff you want, but unless you win games, nobody's really going to care. But he's got both now. And I think that's what makes this exciting for the future, because your 2027 recruiting class looks great. Your 2026 portal class looks awesome. That 2026 class has got a bunch of dudes that are going to be great for the culture at Oklahoma. So it's exciting to see where this thing is going. One area that has to improve, it was solid in 2025. It's got to get better. That's the offensive line. Let's talk about that coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.
FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. Every game day during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action, because right now, every NFL playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack. Yes, waiting for them right there inside the app. So each game day, you'll see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts. You can apply it to bets you like most. Open the profit boost pack first thing on game day, see what's in there, see what action you need to jump on. And then from there, those boosts let you lean into your game day instincts, whether you're backing that momentum, checking out the defense. I mean, Seattle's defense is pretty ridiculous right now. So is Denver's. They lost their quarterback, but you want to bet on the quarterback, the new one, you can definitely do that, or even the coaching. And the boost gives you more juice on the bets you already like, instead of forcing you to bet something new. You make your picks, then apply your profit boost to go after even bigger payouts while the playoffs get rolling. So visit FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of NFL, and grab your profit boost packs every NFL playoff game day.
Once again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there tuning in. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And go check out the Everydayer Club, lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer club. For $5 a month, $50 a year, you can get ad-free audio from Apple, Google, Spotify, wherever you like to download and listen to podcasts. You can get it there. You can also get a link to a members-only Discord. Discord is an app that lets you do all kinds of stuff, but it's basically for us. It's a group chat. It's a great place on your phone, on your laptop, on your computer, where you can just dig in and talk ball, talk puck, talk hoop, whatever you want to talk with everydayers across the Locked On network. Talk smack, you can do that. And there's all kinds of good stuff happening in the Locked On Everydayer chat on the Discord. So again, lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer club for $5 a month, $50 a year to have all of that access here as part of the Locked On Podcast Network. So Jay, when you were out of town, I started to think about the offensive line, and I started to think about how they were young and they were good at times. This was a team, especially in pass protection, they were pretty good. John Mateer had plenty of time. They needed to improve as a run blocking team. How much do you think year 2 in the strength and conditioning program is going to benefit guys like Michael Fasusi, Ryan Foje, Darius Afalava, Jake Michela? If you forget, he didn't come to Oklahoma until the summer. So that's a guy that didn't spend time in the strength and conditioning program. How much will that benefit this young offensive line to get another year of college football strength and conditioning? And what might that do for their run game in 2026?
Should be a huge one. Like, for example, Troy Everett was one of your better blockers, especially on the run when he was healthy. And remember, he came in 2023. He was undersized. And be honest, when he first started playing at guard, he was getting beat up. Even in the Big 12, he was getting tore up. Texas was tearing him up. You had to take him out, pull him in, put in the freshman Caden Green, who came in ready at the size, and ended up transferring out. But that next year, when he got to working, he got the size, he got the build, he got bigger. You're like, okay, so what's next? Well, he ended up getting hurt in the spring. You had to go get Branson Hickman to come in as a replacement. But as soon as he got healthy, right around there with a Tennessee game, he played the rest of the season, and he was out there mauling folks. Like, he was the one that was actually getting you some really good push, especially in like the Alabama game that we won, just running the ball basically the entire game. You got that from him. And then coming into this season, the expectation was similar until he got hurt. You were expecting him to continue that growth. And so I think Michael will see the benefit from that as well. He dealt with some stuff to where he had to come out. He didn't play in the last couple of games. Fabechi Wewu played in that role, and you saw that growth from him as well. Wewu really grew, Cade Matauer really grew when he was here. So those transfers that come in, and even the young players, you're seeing that growth out of them. All you got to do is get them healthy, though. That's the biggest thing. Like Heath Ozada was dealing with injuries and stuff. But now with the way that these players came in, I'm thinking with the strength team, John, the expectation now is for them to go out there and be nasty and maul folks. You got 4 players coming back from the starting lineup. I kind of have a feeling that they're going to be able to do that.
Yeah, you think about Eddy Pierre-Louis, and he didn't arrive until the summer of his freshman year and didn't play a whole lot. Played a little bit in the main game maybe, and then 1 year in the strength and conditioning program, midway through or not even midway through the season, he becomes a starter for your offensive line. So now he's going to have his second year in the strength and conditioning program. We just saw Indiana go win a national title. A lot of it is just physical maturation. You've got to have guys that are physically developed to be able to play ball in the SEC or in the Big Ten and at the college football playoff level of competition. And yes, you can have a freshman starting for your offensive line and be able to run the football. But if you have 3, they're just physically not going to be quite where they need to be yet. But with time and development and going into year 2, I think Michael Fasusi is going to be a stronger player than he was this year. Ryan Foje will be, Eddy Pierre-Louis will be, Jake Michael will be, and that's going to help Oklahoma's running game be better than what it was last year. And we talked about it, man. That's the area of this offense, despite all of the additions of Trell Harris and Parker Livingston, Hayden Hansen, Rocky Beers, the run game improving. That's the area that's going to make the biggest difference to this thing in 26.
Even adding a guy like Marion Harris, like you think about it, he comes from the SEC. He's been in SEC strength and conditioning programs. He's at Arkansas. Arkansas did pretty good in running and passing. I mean, they just weren't consistent. And he came from an O-line coach in Pittman, who, just did not finish off very well. But at the same time, dude's known for his offensive lines. His guys were still getting pushed and doing well. I mean, Isaiah Statania came from Arkansas for us, and look at how he was able to propel himself year 1 in the system with Arbuckle. Now they just got to get everybody consistent, man. It's so continuity helps. I know a lot of people aren't that happy with how the offense performed last year. Cool. You weren't happy with the way the offense performed in 2022 either. But guess what? In 2023, guess what they did? They got better. That's what it matters. By a lot. 2022 wasn't that good. 2023, oh my God, there was a completely different animal. Give it the second year. Let us have the second season. And the schedule is going to be a lot more favorable in comparison to this past year. Even though, as we tried to warn y'all, the schedule this past year wasn't as bad as we thought it was going to be. There was a lot of holes in there that, we going to continue to toot our horn on that. We kept warning y'all. This coming year, it'll be similar because you're going to have a lot of change that we'll be going up against. That's beneficial to us, especially in a year where we have a lot of continuity. If there's one position that I'm never concerned with bringing a bunch of transfer portal players in at, it's wide receiver. They're the ones that usually are the easiest to get going, especially if you bring in guys, as Curt Cignetti did at Indiana. I'm going to keep referencing that because I want you to understand the mindset that you're going to start seeing going forward with people is get dudes with production. Get dudes that actually already produced. Still develop your young players. Find a way to get them on the field, kind of like you say, John. You got to find a way to get them on the field. But the problem you run into trying to force them on the field at the wrong time is you don't really get good execution. Get those guys with production, they'll execute, which opens the door for the young players to get a chance to play. That's the one thing we got to keep our minds on. Wide receivers, the one position I ain't concerned about. Because those dudes, usually if they got production, they know how to execute. And so we should be good. Offensive line concerns me. But the good thing is we got 4 dudes coming back.
Yeah, that's the area where you feel comfortable is that you have guys that played well. They weren't bad. Like I understand that we couldn't really run the ball. That's an area that has to improve. But they were pretty good as a run blocking unit. And Oklahoma's offense was able to do some things. It wasn't like the 2024 offensive line where it struggled for half the year and you couldn't do anything offensively, right? Yes, you started to run the ball a little bit better in the second half of the season, but still, like that LSU game at the end of the year, you couldn't run the ball on LSU. It was a struggle. So yes, the offensive line has to improve, but there are some really, really strong building blocks that are going to get stronger this offseason. And they're already putting in the work. Like day 1, school started on Tuesday and Oklahoma football released a video of those guys in the weight room already. So they are not resting on anything. Yes, they made the college football playoff in 2025. That guarantees nothing for 2026. They got to go prove it all over again, and the work's already started. So, hey, this is a team that, listen, they're about that grind mentality, and I think Brent Venables has set that thing in motion. And I expect Fasusi to get stronger. I expect Eddy Pierre-Louis, Jake Michael, Ryan Foje, all these guys to get stronger and be better in their second year, third year, fourth year with this team.
Yep, that's exactly what you're going to be getting. And so now as we turn the page, we're now in the 2026 season, folks. It's time to focus on the future. Last season's passed, 10-3, another 10-win season. It's two in his 4 years here, which we should have gotten at least 9 in all 4 years, but that's okay. We're now moving forward. We're moving forward with Brent Venables players and the Stats players. We've got that continuity. It appears that they're on the same page. Let's see what happens.
And before we officially move forward, let's look at the final AP and US LBM coaches poll coming up here on Locked On Sooners. Once again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Jay, we got the final AP and USA Today coaches polls on Tuesday. And the AP, man, I got a bone to pick with them because they dropped Oklahoma to number 13 behind Alabama. Okay, I can understand that. Crimson Tide beat us at home. Fair in the playoffs, fine. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish, who were so sad that they missed the college football playoff that they decided not to go to the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Boo-hoo. Behind the BYU Cougars, Jay, whose only real link to the playoff is that their only losses were to Texas Tech. Oh, and Texas Tech got shut out by Oregon, so they're fraudulent. And then behind Texas, which, listen, Texas didn't make the playoff. They lost to Florida, but they do have the head-to-head win from the 2025 season over Oklahoma. So as much as I hate it, I can understand it. But behind BYU and behind Notre Dame, nah.
Yeah, that's where my beef comes in. I don't see a reason for Notre Dame or BYU to be ahead of, honestly, Texas or Oklahoma. That, like, it doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't matter. Like, Oklahoma did make the playoffs. They played in a game. They did play that game. Notre Dame decided that they didn't want to play. I think they should be punished for not participating in the offseason. Like, you shouldn't reward people being babies about stuff. That's just my thoughts personally, but
I agree.
I digress. I'm not upset at the 13. You know, I'm hoping that as we look at the way too earlys, we'll look at them tomorrow. We'll kind of compare all of them and kind of see where the average is. And to me, being right here between 11 and 15 is another great starting spot for us. Our goal is to finish in the top 5 one day. I think we can get there, especially because this year should be a good all-in. But this one isn't too far off. I'm not actually upset about it.
Yeah, and then you go look at the coaches poll, and they like Oklahoma a little bit better, coming in at number 10. Again, I don't really have much issue with where they are sitting here. What's noticeable about this one is you go look at the full poll, and they also share where teams started the season. And Oklahoma started unranked in the coaches poll. I think they were like 23 maybe in the AP top 25 to start the season, but they were unranked in the coaches poll. They were one of 14 teams that were unranked to finish the season ranked in the coaches poll, which is crazy. And Jay, they're the only team that was unranked to start the season to finish the season inside the top 10.
That's testimony of this team, you know, showing the resilience and proving us right. You know, we told y'all a 10-win season was coming down the line. Y'all didn't want to listen to us. We're going to keep tooting our horns on that one. Hopefully next year they can replicate that and not make us look dumb. But I'll say that, though. We got exactly what we told y'all we was going to do, man. This team, the defense was able to carry them all the way, and the offense was competent enough to get you 10 wins. Now this offense needs to be past competent. They need to actually be good. And by actually be good, execute on the stuff they need to. And by doing that, guess what, John? An opportunity for 11 wins is right there in our lap. But they've got to execute. That Georgia game is going to be tough. Red River's always tough, right? And then every single game after that in line is going to be a challenge. Ole Miss will be another challenge once again. Texas A&M. They going to be a challenge. Maybe we can go for a 77-0 game again. I would love to do that to them one more time. I don't know if we're going to be able to get to that point, but my point is this. It's going to be a challenge. It's going to be tough, but 11 wins is not out of the realm of possibility. This team has a schedule that's solid. Michigan's still going to be in a quote-unquote rebuild. I think Coach Whittingham's going to be able to get them going pretty fast, but I think it's going to take them a couple of games. And luckily, game 2 is us. It's going to be a second time we're going to benefit from Bryce Underwood figuring things out with a new OC, new setup, and we're going to be able to go ahead and take advantage of that. I like that. Coach Sullivan knows Bryce. He synced him in practice, and he should be able to give us a little 4-1-1 on the way to take advantage of it. Plus, at the same time, we kind of put that dude in a blender. Brent Venables is infamous for putting freshmen and sophomores into blenders. We should be solid once again. But I digress on that part, though, John. When I looked at the polls, I'm not mad. Like, the funny thing is the coaches poll reflects the mindset that we had going into this when we talked about the AP. Oklahoma make the playoffs. Why should they drop out the top 10? That make any sense?
Notre Dame's sat at home.
Yeah,
like
Notre Dame's at home. They should drop.
Yeah.
They should just be pushed to the side.
Right.
Pushed to the side. That's all that matters.
They get rewarded for not doing anything. And I understand there's going to be a lot of people, I've already seen it on social media, ask the question, why does it matter? Who cares? Well, listen, these programs, they love to track AP top 10 finishes, AP top 5 finishes, AP top number 1 finishes. Those are things that they can put on a placard or in a media release. And it's something that gets pumped up about them over the course of their program's history. Those things matter in a PR perspective, on a recruiting perspective. And when you can say, hey, Oklahoma has been an AP, finished in the top 10 of the AP poll X number of times in their history, that stands out as opposed. And when you're comparing it against other blue blood programs, which we should maybe have an argument that Notre Dame forfeited their right to be a blue blood by not participating in bowl season. But these are the comparisons that these coaching staffs, these front offices, these recruiting, directors that they will make. Oklahoma ranks number blank in number of AP top 10 finishes all time. Oklahoma ranks number 1 in most wins since this time period. Like those things matter from a recruiting perspective.
Yeah. And especially going into this season, that was the biggest challenge of the 26 class was that class had to be heavy evaluation, and you can lock up what players you can get your hands on because there was a lot of negative recruiting. Brent Venables was on the hot seat. It's like, Brent Venables, he's going to have to win at least 7-8 games if he's going to keep his job. He got 10. Now everybody's like, okay, well, I think he's good. I think he's actually got to the point where he wanted to because the defense improved year over year. Again, the expectation is it should improve. If it takes a slight step back, going from 5, which is where the Football Power Index efficiency rating on ESPN had them rated, some of the others efficiencies had them either 4 or 5. Okay, if it drops to 6 or 7, it's not a bad thing. If it drops to, as long as it stays top 10, that's good enough to win championships. So what you've got to do is now get your offense to move into the top 10, and then you're cooking. Heck, top 15, you win 11 games. If you have a top 10, 15 offense this past season, you don't lose that Ole Miss game.
Yeah.
You win that one. Regardless of the weather, you win that because the offense was the thing that held you back. You may even win the Texas game because you were literally, that game was 3-3 at the half. You could probably been up 17-3 at the half. That's my point there is as long as the defense continues to grow, which it will, we lost a little bit of depth as far as going further back, but those young pups are ready to play. That's the other thing to remember. We've got a lot of young players that are ready to play, especially on this Brent Venables defense. They're going to get their shine. They're going to get their opportunity. And because he's willing to play them in critical moments, that's why they grow up so fast. We should be fine.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to what Oklahoma's going to do this year because I think they're going to be good once again. And that's exciting, man, that they can build off of this. Now, we thought going into 2024 that they were probably going to be pretty good too, but they just had so many injuries that it didn't really give us an opportunity to see what that team could have looked like at full strength. You had no Andrell Anthony, no Nick Anderson, no Jaden Gibson. It was just the depth was absolutely disastrous because of all the injuries. Now, you had reasonably good luck this year. You had some injuries, but it wasn't so many that it was devastating to your season. You were able to overcome them because your depth is better, and the depth is only going to get better and better moving forward. So this thing is on the right track. Brent Venables has got it going in the right direction. Jim Nagy was the right hire at the right time, and that front office staff came in at the right time as well, that they can parlay all the success from last year into more success moving forward. So exciting stuff, Jay. Any final thoughts on these polls and where we're headed?
No, I think that we're in a good direction. Now the question is, when we start looking at these way too earlys, which we looked at some yesterday, we'll look at some more tomorrow's show. We're going to be now at the point where hype season's going to hit hard, guys. Unfortunately, we got expectations and we got to maintain it.
And I know y'all don't want us sunshine pumping or drinking the Kool-Aid, but dude,
drinking all of it.
Like the prices at the pump right now are really low because the fuel is in abundance right now after that 10-win season. Oklahoma's going to be a contender, and I'm excited to see, man, maybe this is the year that they can break that national championship drought. We'll discuss all of that. Hey, because there's an SEC analyst out there that believes Oklahoma might be the team to go win the national championship. We might have to talk about that coming up on tomorrow's show. But anyway, that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Sooners. Thanks so much for tuning in, being a part of the show. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. Follow Jay over at Unfair Sports. Go check out his work for more Oklahoma Sooners and college football coverage. You can follow me at John 9 Williams and read my work covering the Sooners over at SoonersWire.com. The show is at Locked On Sooners on all of your favorite social media platforms. And again, subscribe to Locked On Sooners wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. But until next time, he's Jay. I'm John. We'll talk to you then. Boomer
Sooner.